Welcome to Creative Conversations Live number 6, Intuitive Art, Neurographic Art Making. This time we met in the Zoom room with several participants to create art together. Creative Wellness Haven's Express Yourself mini activities give you the space to share and explore yourself creatively and encourage self-reflection and group sharing. This session was facilitated by artist H. Adele Campbell and hosted by Rhiannon Berry with special guest Heather Fraser. Heather's been doing this intuitive art form for years without knowing the scientific terms or that it was a therapeutic, intentional activity for well-being. Create and discuss neurography art creation in this Creative Conversations live mini activity. What is neurographic art making? Well, it's fun, practical, and available to all. Express your stress when words are not enough with this free-form drawing activity. We all experience stress, anxiety, and fear, and this practice can help you relieve those feelings. Once released, what appears as a random scribble can be turned into beautiful and exciting art. Let's see what's surfacing inside your mind. Neuroscience says that you can create positive change with this creative wellness technique. The dormant neuroconnectors get activated and energy begins to flow and quickly changes stress and fearful thinking into pleasantly discovering your creative powers and the surfacing of underlying stressors and fears found in the artwork. With or without the support of a therapeutic guide, transform your stressors and fears into self-love and self-worth, creating improved relationships and powerful intentions for change. Grab some supplies and watch the rebroadcast. You'll need blank paper, canvas, and drawing tools. We recommend paint markers and Sharpies. And if you enjoyed this mini session, join us for a day retreat on May 8th in St. Catharines, Ontario in Port Weller. We will be doing the Elements of Art and Nature retreat, which includes not only art-related activities and wellness activities, but forest bathing and a walk to the beach. So you can find more information about that and purchase tickets at bwhimsyartloft.ca, and the link is in the description. I hope you enjoy and have a pleasant day.
It's tricky sometimes.
I'm super excited to draw with you today, Adele.
Yeah,
And
me too.
Heather.
I'm excited to draw with Heather.
Yeah. I'm excited to draw with Adele and Rhiannon and Lisa and SJ and B.
Everyone, we're all excited. That's
And
good.
Feel free to put your cameras on and say hello. We're just going to give everybody a few more minutes to see who else joins us.
Yeah, before we start.
We've got some smelly markers.
What is it?
It smells like strawberry or watermelon.
So you can it's not only visual for you, it's also fragrant.
I mean, it's got to be
smelling.
Like, it could be good or it could be really bad. This could be like an axe through my skull, and like I'm not even being silly. Like this could be.
Oh yeah, it might set you off or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always like,
I know, you're like, wait a second.
And then I'm like, hold it.
When I was a kid, that's all I did. No markers.
Oh, that explains so much.
Every year I got the silly pack.
I did like the grape. I was a huge fan.
All right.
Well, it's 4:35.
I'm helping a few people enter, so you can.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and start, and I will figure out the issues.
Okay. Well, we need Heather on before we can start. Hopefully she. That's right.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to share neurographic art with you. And I want to welcome you all to Creative Wellness Haven. I am co-facilitator and co-creator of Creative Wellness Haven, Adele Campbell. And we have in a room sharing a screen, the co-facilitator and co-founder, Rhiannon Barry. And we also have our special guests. Thanks for pointing her out. We also have our special guest who is an intuitive artist, and I would say some of her art is neurographic as well. I'm not sure if that's what you call it, but and that's Heather Fraser, waving to everyone. So welcome, Heather. Thanks for being here. So today, as we, as the post said, we are discussing neurographic art, and we're going to actually all work on our own piece. So hopefully you at home are prepared and have brought your equipment and your tools to do some neurographic art today. If you haven't, the best part about this is this drawing technique is you don't need to have a ton of supplies. It doesn't have to be an expensive run out to the art store. You can use a black marker and some colored pencils or some markers, and you can follow along. So if you don't already have those supplies, make sure you get them before we start, and I'll give you some heads up before we start doing the art. So just a little bit of history on neurographic art. It was created, and the name neurographic art was coined in 2014 by psychologist and creative entrepreneur Pavel, and I'm going to botch his last name because it's Russian. Piskarev, I think is how you pronounce it.
Not sure. Good
Sure.
effort.
Yeah, I went on and did like online and tried to find out exactly how to say it. But anyway, and he was studying this method because it stimulates neural pathways, and basically it combines art and psychology. So it can be used as a tool for mindfulness, but it also can be used as a way to really understand life and use drawing and freeform as a way to express yourself. And more importantly, the coolest part I think about neurographic art is that it really coincides with, combines your inner and your outer worlds. And why that happens is, and you'll see once we start drawing, the neural paths that are in your mind can actually be activated while you're doing neurographic art. So it's a way to really capture your inner self. And so most of us know that 95% of the emotions, the feelings that we have are all internalized, they're subconscious, and only about 5% are we're consciously aware of. And so neurographic art is a way of really expressing that unconscious on paper. I'm sure most of you have doodled before, and sometimes that can be really just a way to intuitively draw or, use your intuition, or just kind of mindfully or mindlessly draw on paper. So there has been a lot of studies on how neurographic art has really helped people solve problems of various levels and complexity. And some of that is just simple as communication, achieving harmony. Some people have helped it to next level their businesses, cope with illness or stress or anxiety, which maybe that's why you're here today. You want some a creative way to express yourself, to relieve some stress or anxiety. Chronic pain is another thing, and grief. I just found this one out today when I was doing a little bit more research, that it's used in psychology practices to help people that are grieving kind of use the internal dialogue that they have and kind of put it on paper. So that's kind of, I found that really interesting. So how it works basically, and I didn't want to spend too much time on the history of it, because certainly that's something that if you're interested in continuing on with neurographic art, that you can kind of research yourself, because I wanted to get down into the nitty gritty of how it works. So basically, and then also getting into drawing as well. Basically, what the research revealed about neurographic art is that when we store a memory in our brain, it isn't just an image that flashes in our mind, it's actually a neural pathway. And so when you're doing this freeform drawing, you're actually accessing those neural pathways and physically drawing them on paper without noticing it. And so that's a lot of the times why you want to, well, Heather can probably speak on the intuitive part of it, is a lot of the time it's really interesting to try to, like, I tried to do it today and I started to think too much about where my line was going to go. And so it's really important to kind of disconnect from that, where's the line going to go, and kind of intuitively let yourself be led by the pen on the paper. And so that in that way you can access those memories. And then in another way, you can also form new neural pathways. So this kind of drawing can also be used as a way to kind of reframe something, a situation that's gone on in your life, or a goal that you may have. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about a quest once I start getting into the nitty-gritty of the drawing. Because basically what happens is your neural pathways are created using symbols. And so we use like lines and symbols as a way to express that. And then you're activating your neurons. So the other thing that's really important to know is that it's been widely accepted in science that all of our fine motor activities can rewire the brain. And so when you keep doing something over and over again, it becomes easier. And then it also becomes easier for you to see more things in your neurographic art, which I think is really interesting, because I'm sure, I know that I have a few print offs of some of the work that Heather's done. And every single time I go look at it, I find something different in her work. And I'm sure that once you map something out yourself, that you'll find that once you go back to it, you'll find that you find things every once in a while. So yeah, that is the nitty-gritty of the neurographic history and benefits. So really the goal of today for us is to draw, when we draw our neurographic art is to really kind of release some emotions and reach a sort of calm through expressing that emotions in lines and shapes. And so we want to make sure that this, is promoting your mindfulness today and intentionality, and kind of slow down this pace of life while using this mindfulness practice. So you kind of just want to make sure that you let your intuition take over, and you don't want to direct the lines when you're drawing. You just want to make sure that this is a way of transforming your emotions into beautiful artwork, so you don't want to direct where your pen is going. So I'm going to kind of introduce how you create neurographic art. So pipe in any time you'd like, Heather, and let us know your process, or if you do things a little bit differently. A lot of the time, the research that I found is that there's different algorithms. They call them algorithms. So there's different ways of accessing different emotions, or there's different ways of creating the neurographic art for an end purpose or an end goal. So the first thing that is suggested with this intro algorithm is to consider or create a quest or a goal for the reason you're doing the neurographic art. So today we want to start like super simple. We don't want you to get too stressed out. But if you can think of something, a small stressor in your life that you'd like to focus on, like we certainly don't want to trigger anyone. So that's why we're starting small, and take baby steps in your neurographic art is one of my suggestions. This way, when you start a quest, the quest can be, like maybe I want to be in a better mood this afternoon, or maybe I would like to have better weather, or I would like this meeting to go easy. Those kind of things are super simple to start off. Heather, when you are sitting down to create your art, is there anything that you bring to mind before you even begin? Do you have any kind of quote unquote quest that you start?
I love the use of the word quest. That's brand new to me in my brain. So that's a really neat concept. Thank you for introducing that, Adele. So in real time, what's happening right now is I'm melting down because my computer is not working. So you're gonna, for those of you who are you're going to see in real time strategies that are going to be put in place. So I'm highly anxious in this moment, and Rhiannon, our host, is working on technical things that, so right now there's a dialogue happening in my brain that is overshadowing every other experience, and I can't hear, I cannot follow direction. So I'm shutting down, as it were. What I'm going to choose to do is take that emotion and start from there. And what I feel like right now is, okay, so I think I'm not gonna, thank you, everyone. This is life. This is day-to-day life, and this is an example of how our brains might channel what I'm gonna do is I'm very anxious right now. I'm uncomfortable. I want to run and hide and cry. So I'm gonna translate that with my black Sharpie, and what I bring, what you were suggesting, emotion, and there's always might be hesitancy to start on the page. I don't have time for that. I'm anxious, and in this moment, I kind of, might be doing this, but I'm going on my page.
We're going to start drawing over here.
I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to use real time. So I guess as far as neuropathic, I'm going to my familiar movements first because they are comfortable.
So for those of you that are new to neurographic art, you can use, if you do have a stressor, or like I mentioned, think about a stressor in your life. And you want to start with, I don't know what Heather's process is, but the algorithm that I'm following is just to start with 2 or 3 lines maximum. They don't have to go touch either side of the page, but you should start the lines from the same side of the page. So if you decide to start your line on the left or right-hand side, all 3 lines should go from that left-hand side. And the idea is to really think of that stressor, and Heather's really present in that moment. So she's really got it, and she's probably already drawing out some of the emotions she's feeling. And so get that stress in your mind. And that's when you just start to draw the lines and stop wherever they stop, and we'll come back to what to do after that. So I'm also going to start, and I'm going to move my camera down so you can see what I'm doing. And Heather, if you can show what you're doing as well, that would be awesome.
Happy to. So I can just, it looks like scribbles, y'all.
Yeah, and I was even told, or I listened that, really feel all of the negative emotion from the stressor that's in your life right now, and just go at the page. Oh, my pen doesn't want to work. And so what we're doing right now is creating a nerve. This is the nerve, quote unquote, of the drawing. And it ties all of the elements that we're going to talk about in a few moments into the composition, and it provides a picture with dynamics. And so see how I started on the right-hand side? I'm going to continue on this right-hand side, but you can start at the top on the right-hand side or the bottom. And so doing a maximum of 2 to 3 lines, just really quickly, nothing major.
I find too, Adele, if I may, is I like corners, and I find that I start to work in circles almost for balance. A little bit up here and a little sprinkle here and a little down here, and then before I know it, it's got that nice, again, that circular flow, which for me, I think provides comfort, that nice, rounded, and a beginning and an end, which I think for me, I get a stim off of like a beginning and an end. Sure. I enjoy seeing where something stops. Yeah. I don't know if you all experience that at all, but
I like going from one end of the page right to the other end, but I'm not going to draw on my table today.
So when you're doing your drawing, because it's more intuitive, it may just stop in the middle of the page. But what we're going to do after you do your 2 or 3 lines is you're going to take that wherever it stopped in the middle of the page. I don't have an example because I went on to the very edge of my paper, but you want to make sure that it does end so that your line has a connection to the edge of the paper, but it also ends at another edge of the paper. I'll show mine, but yeah, mine went like this. So the next thing, so yeah, talking about that neuro line. So this is the neuro line that has all the stressor in it. You can really feel tension in places where, each of your lines meet. And so what you're going to do now is we're going to lessen the tension. We're going to relieve some of the stress that's going on in our mind by taking these angles that we've created and just curving them out. So what I mean by curving them out is just taking an angle where there's an intersection, and you can make the line in the curve as dark, as heavy as you want, or you can make it as light as you want. I'm hoping that you can see what I'm talking about when I'm doing it, and just really smooth out that curved line.
So I'm tripping right now, Adele.
Yes.
I've always called this, in my 40 years of drawing, what you've just illustrated to the masses is what I've always called to myself going back in.
Okay, cool. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're going back in and we're going to smooth out the sharp edges that we created. So we're transforming the inner world by curving it out, or by carving it out and smoothing out all. And one of the really neat things to do, or that I actually ended up doing that's really good to do, is not only to curve it out, but sometimes you'll notice how my line here doesn't quite follow the line of that I created. It kind of stops right here. I don't know if you're close enough to see that, but making sure that you redraw that line, go over that line, because what that is doing while you do it is actually, in that neuro pathway in your mind, you're actually recarving it out to have that smooth curve, calming that stressor down a little bit.
I know that there are people participating right now who are feeling a huge sense of feeling understood. At least I'm hoping. What you're explaining is, I think, something we really do just naturally do.
Yeah, when doodling.
Yeah, I agree.
always do that when I'm doodling. I go back in and I
go back in,
spots. Yeah,
retrace lines, make sure.
Or even if I'm in a meeting and there's O's and D's in the title of a paper, I'll color inside of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I always doodle. Yeah, for sure. Oops, sorry.
So there's also an interesting evolutionary bias towards the shapes of why we're choosing these as well. The harder 90-degree angles would have represented hard shapes that were fearful, tree branches, deer antlers, whereas a source of abundance, such as fruit, would be round and bold. And so they suggest that things of the rounder, softer things would show abundance, as opposed to the hard edges showing warning signals. I find that as well.
Yeah, so that's when we're not quite there yet, but
sorry.
no, it's fine. No, it's great, because it goes in line with what we're trying to do here. And it's obviously, you've also studied this for much longer than I have, so you know a lot more than me. But there are certain shapes that we're going to use after you've done these 3 and you've done all of the lines. So there's the neuro line, which is like the main part of the drawing. But then there's also shapes that we can incorporate into it, but I don't want to do that just yet, because there's a step before that where, so we've all have these lines on our paper now, and some of us may have more white space on our page. Like I have a lot of white space over here on the left side and down here on the right. And even, well, there's actually quite a lot. So what you want to do is, I kind of drawn a half circle right here in the middle of my page. And what I'm going to do is take these lines that I've curved, these center points, and from those center points, I'm actually going to draw 10 connection lines. And those 10 connection lines are going to try to fill that void, that voided space. So what this represents, those blank spaces represent the environment around us. This is us. This is our neural pathway that we have in our mind. And these blank spaces are the pathways, the environment around us. And so we want the solution that we're thinking of, or the problem that we have or the quest that we started, we want to come up with the solution. And we're not necessarily going to find the solution in doing this drawing, but you may, while you're drawing these 10 connection lines, come up with a solution, or at least come up with, you're going to create a neural pathway to those solutions unconsciously. Again,
Wow.
So just take this line and just go wherever you want with it. And so I've done one. I have this major center point here. I feel like that's what I need to follow. So then I'm going to do 2, and you can do the same. So if you find that 10 isn't enough and you still have space, you can certainly draw more, or you can draw less. And anywhere they connect, once you've gotten them all drawn, well, I don't know, I've lost count. I stopped counting. But I see some space over there.
I can see why this takes you so long.
Yeah, you know what? I did one this afternoon just to practice, like using this algorithm. And I was like, oh my gosh, it takes so much time.
Like, I wish I had known that I was going to have to do all those intersections before I did my 10.
Oh,
No.
Sorry.
But I just went for it. And then you said that, I went, oh no.
But I love how that these things are already creating moods.
Yes.
I'm already feeling certain things, you know?
Like better than you were before, right? Like you're starting to feel calmer, maybe.
Quite.
Talk to us about what you're feeling, because that would be amazing if you feel so inclined.
I can tell you that having somebody with knowledge and proper terminology like yourself helps someone like me who doesn't know why they're doing what they're doing. So I'm very appreciative of that. What's happened is that my armpits have stopped sweating so much.
Oh, that's good.
I don't feel like I have explosive diarrhea, and that's, I mean, a huge perk for me.
That's a perk for me too.
The woman sitting beside me, that is also a benefit. I'm laughing, whereas 20 minutes ago I had tears.
Same.
I'm outside of my brain now.
Yes.
I'm in a safer, flowier space, and being given direction, Adele, of the line is very helpful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope everyone else is finding that too, especially if you're new at this. But I am fairly new at this as well. But I just, I did my research and I found one. And you can find lots of YouTube, and I actually was looking through a lot of YouTubes, and I didn't find any of them really helpful except for this one lady. And I definitely will link her, so you can find out more about her as well, because she did the same thing. She really walked you through and took the time to like explain what you're doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time I finally understand it, because before I did it and it just looked like crap. And then after I did it with her, and like I said, I did one about the Zoom call today, because I was just like, I'm the same as you, Heather. Like I was anxious and I wanted it to be perfect, and I didn't want to, I wanted everyone to get value from it. So that was part of the reason why I was doing it as well, is like, I just wanted to have some confidence in what I was doing. So I did neurographic art for it, and it was so amazing how confident. The difference between not doing it and doing it was significant. Like coming into the call, because I felt a lot more confident than I feel like I would have if I hadn't done the art.
That's
which is
amazing.
pretty cool.
So what do you think was it adhering a defined process?
Yeah, like actually having like, here's step 1, here's step 2, and here's why we're doing this.
Yeah, because I certainly never would have thought that empty white spaces was a metaphor, if you will, for my external environment.
Yeah.
It's like, duh, but no, that thought never crossed my mind, Adele, and now what's exciting is I'm going to go with this new information from tonight. Like, I'm kind of excited to go back and look at my work and see what.
We're going to look at some of your work.
Yeah, we are going to look at some of your work, and we're also, if any of the participants are willing, once we've done this as far as we can with the time constraint, well, actually we have quite a bit of time, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave lots of time to do it, is so that if you choose to allow us to kind of see what you've drawn and see our interpretation, and we can talk about what we see in your art, because I think part of the process, and like I think I have 7 steps altogether and we're only on step 3, part of it is actually taking a moment to look at it and see if there's
reading it, yeah.
And reading it, yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool.
That I feel very calm now too. I was feeling a little of Heather's vibe, and I was trying to send her back some of my vibe.
Yeah.
But I also just came from like a meeting. I ran in here. And so I was feeling a little like anxious too at first, just sort of like, oh no, I'm not going to be ready on time. But then, you know what, like, this is really chilling me out.
Yeah, I find it is too. It's really relaxing. And the other thing is too, is just, again, like, don't focus on the perfection. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh, I did that one too big, or, you know, oh, my line doesn't connect here. Just go back over your line if you feel like it doesn't connect. Like some of my lines are getting really dark, and some of my curves are getting really smooth. I've kind of ignored this side of the paper for some reason. I'm going to go over there now, but it's all, you know, it's all happening intentionally. And if you're doing it mindfully, then you're, you know, really rewiring those neurons in your brain, those neural pathways, which I think is like so cool.
Adele, why is this interesting to you?
Well, I think there's a lot of mindful practices out there where you can get too much, you still stay too far in your head. Like you're still, what I'm trying to say is there's an attachment to the outcome when you're mindful in certain ways. Like, oh, I'm going to be mindful because it's going to help me with this, that, or the other thing. Whereas I find like this, it's very freeing, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I just know that I'm just trying to I'm just trying to let myself go onto the page. Does that make any sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's like when you just create to create, not to sell.
Yeah. But even in this, like I feel like there's science backing that, like quantum physics says that you can physically change not only the neural pathways in your mind, but you can actually physically change the world outside of you. And that's one of the things that the psychologist studied, is like people can actually change their lives by doing this kind of art, which I think is like absolutely incredible. Because you are physically changing the pathway in your mind when you do this kind of art.
Yeah, you're rewriting the way you think.
Yeah, so that's the other thing that can happen too, is like if there's beliefs that you have in your life that you want to change, neurographic art can be a way to do that. And you simply, again, start the quest with, I want to change this belief about myself. Like say, unworthiness seems to come up a lot in my life. And so that was something that I will be focusing on. I'm not focusing on that now, but will be something I'm going to use neurographic art for in the future, to kind of help with that feeling of unworthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget too, to go over your lines again, because again, it's that connection with the whole, but also rewiring that connection. Pardon?
Can I ask a question? It's Kathleen. Can I ask a question? Because
yeah,
we said that that when you did it, that you weren't happy about the way that it looked or something, like when you first started. But I mean, fully, it's subjective, and what you create is what you create. Not right. I mean, there's no.
Well, I didn't have.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have any instructions on how to do it properly. So the algorithm that I'm using is this particular method that's been proven to be helpfully calming and also changing things. So this particular algorithm is for introductory purposes, but they have ones where they have algorithms, and I don't know what they call them, algorithms, just because it's, you know, so many people have done it and they've had the same success using it. So one of the images that I found was an abundance tree. And there's an algorithm that you follow to create this abundance tree. And the first thing that they asked was, if you were to draw a tree, what would the tree look like? And, or if you were to imagine a tree in your mind, what would the tree look like? And what they found is every single time someone imagined a tree, they would imagine a tree without roots. And so the neurographic art, what they did is they lead you in an exploration of drawing roots, a stem and the top. And they also have done it with groups as well. People add in their own lines for collective art as well. And the other thing is the coloring in part of it. I just kind of started to color mine in, but there's also methods for that. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. So how's everyone doing with their art? Give me a thumbs up in the comments. Let me know if you're almost done of your 10, curving your 10 lines. If you have any, like I have a few areas left. Sorry, Kathleen, did that help? Sorry, I totally just, I apologize.
Yeah, I think, no, that's fine. I think yeah. Okay, so I understand what you're saying is that there are different ways to do this depending on what you want the outcomes to be.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I think that was a key, like, I think, just if I may, Kathleen, I also picked up on that as well. And I can hear so what I gathered was that Adele did a piece of work and that with no method.
Yeah.
Was a little bit, I mean, that piece still held value, but it wasn't the quest of applying a specific method. So I think when you were talking smack about it, Adele, that's crap, all you were really suggesting was that this piece just was not an example of an applied neuropathic method. It wasn't that you were poo-pooing your free-for-all.
No.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing was just that I found this technique that I'm sharing with all of you. I had a pathway, whereas when I was doing it myself, I was kind of just all over the place and hoping that it turned out good. Whereas when I finished the piece of work that I did today before the call, I actually felt better afterwards. Whereas before it was just like, I felt like I was looking for an outcome because I didn't have any direction on what I was supposed to do next or what this meant. You know, like I didn't know that curving out the lines was to kind of reduce the harshness or the sharp edges, transform these, you know, into something smoother.
Adele, we have a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we kind of covered some of this in the bilateral drawing one that we did, but it says, I heard someone mention doing the initial lines with your non-dominant hand. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that, yes. Because then it's even more, it's that you're accessing a different side of your mind, but also it's going to be less forced. For sure, yeah. I should have actually tried that. That would have been really cool.
I'm doing it now.
Amazing. So once you have all of your edges curved out, all of the ridges calm down, all the tension kind of released from the drawing, what we're going to do now is kind of take a step back and look at the drawing as a whole. And what you're going to find in the drawing is, as I will demonstrate in mine, I have this perfect half circle right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that perfect half circle and I'm going to make a circle as best as I can. And you can find little ones here and there, or if there's somewhere you feel drawn to draw a circle, do that. Start with your big circles and then go smaller. So I have like a really lot of empty space up here. So I'm just going to draw a circle in that void, and it's not perfect. And then anytime there's an intersecting line, again, you just want to smooth out that curve. And so circles in neurographic art are really messages about balance, harmony, pleasure, and comfort. And so in using a circle, where we round and soften the corners of different areas, we're creating harmony in our drawing. And so it's the same thing. You can also look at it as a balance. So maybe there's some areas that you feel like, for me, there was nothing here. I wanted to add some balance by having a circle here. I also feel like there's a large circle, like kind of right here. It's kind of looks like an egg now, not a circle. I'm going to change it to make it look like a circle. So now I have a really big circle, and then small areas like this, I'm going to add a little circle. So you can start big and then move to smaller circles. And again, anywhere that you see any kind of intersection, just fill it in. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. So the other thing is you may find, and I'm not going to cover them today because I was told that they were rather intermediate, is to use triangles and squares in your space. If you so feel like there's a triangle here, or I have a square here that I know is an intersection of a line, but I don't know why I want to keep it there. So I have a triangle in mind, but the triangle is a sharp figure. So it can warn about danger, aggression, or conflict, but it's also used as a way to maybe next level your business. Like as in controlled conflict or a growth zone sort of thing. So if you feel that or compelled to use a triangle, please feel free to do so. Oh, my battery's running low. I thought I plugged sorry. With me
I feel like I have a lot of circles in mine.
That's okay. That's good. Lots of balance then.
And I have a
lots of harmony
circle too.
Cool.
So I'm gonna make it all squiggly as I fill it in then. I think.
Yeah, go with what you
But
feel.
mine has symmetry.
Yeah,
right?
and it might, and some of them may not. Like mine doesn't have symmetry at all.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So Heather, when you talk about going back into your art, is adding circles something you do when you go back into it? Or is it something that you do while you're actually like doing the drawing itself? When you start your lines, do you just automatically add circles? Or is it like an afterthought?
I think at this stage of the game, I'm going to go out on a limb and say like, I'm able to do all the things. Does that answer?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does for me.
I'll show you a visual. We might as well. So speaking of the circles, sorry, let me.
That's okay.
Right, like I got my default comfort.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable with the flowers, right? The petals are like a smooth, but here's like the circles, like you were suggesting, Adele. Like I'm throwing them in small.
Yeah.
In the big. What's new to me tonight is the thinking of a solution.
Oh.
You know how artists, I'm sure everyone in tonight can agree that people say, well, how do you know when it's done?
Mm-hmm.
And most people's answers, I'd love to hear from you all, but I've always just heard like, well, you just know.
You do.
It's done. And sometimes you can overkill it, but you got to step away. And so this is a great exploration in I'm really enjoying this guidance. It's bringing my brain into this wonderful space.
You feel like more validated about your art?
I can't believe that there is science behind something that I've been doing alone by myself for 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
Hours and hours and hours and hours. And people
that gives me goosebumps. That's amazing.
To me, you know, things like what, like people have had visceral reactions of looking at my work, both positive and negative, of ow, like that hurts. And I'm thinking, yeah, imagine.
Right?
If you only have to look at it.
Right? Yeah.
What it is to exist in it. So yeah.
Yeah, there's lots, and it's actually becoming a really popular therapy session. So a lot more therapists and professionals are using it as a means to help people. Well, like I said before, I was actually shocked when I saw that people use it to heal grief, because I mean, don't we all deal with grief, you know, we've all had grief in our lives, so it's interesting.
How are you feeling right now, Adele, as you're rounding out your edges, and it's just very, it feels very, I don't know, I don't have any words coming yet.
I feel like it almost looks ancient. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like cave drawing, ancient.
Yeah.
That I see like symbols of water. Like
for sure.
What that even looks like a riverbed, like ripples on a riverbed.
I just enjoy watching it too. I enjoy watching people draw or color, or it's peaceful.
I can watch painting videos till the cows come home.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Does
very
anybody wanna
therapeutic to draw.
share? I see a lot of Lisa, do you want to share what you've created so far, just so we can get an idea of what you're doing over there? I'm curious. Ooh.
Ooh. I love how different it is for every person. Like, isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I feel like I see the word yes in there.
Yeah, and actually as I'm doing it, I've been looking at it this way.
Oh, cool.
That way, so.
Oh, and Silva, that's really beautiful.
Sylvia.
Sorry, I said Silva. I'm sorry.
I can, like, there's so much going on in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love all the circles in yours, Lisa.
Thank you. Yeah, as soon as you said circles, I was like, oh, right. I see a lot of them.
And one of the really cool things I forgot to say about the circles too is, so I found the one here, I'm going to show everyone my screen. The one down here is really like open. You can take some of these intersecting lines and you can have them like re-intersect somewhere else, or like draw another line if you feel like it makes sense, and then just do again, curve out that line, so that if it feels like too open to you, like I felt like that one's open, now I'm like, yes, that's more satisfying. Even, you know, like this one here, I feel like, so I'm just going to like connect these lines here and maybe even that line, and then just like curve everything out. So yeah, if you find there's anything like that you may want to do, if you want to try a square, I don't know what if there's, maybe if you look again, if you take that broader view and try to look at the whole entire picture and see if there's anywhere you feel like a square or a triangle may fit, if that fits with the mood that you're feeling, or what you're processing right now.
Squares.
Yeah, so I didn't mention what squares are, and I will now. So a square speaks to the reliable world and symbolizes stasis, and that you can use it if you need security.
I have no room for squares on mine.
That's interesting.
There's like no way I can make a square out of anything.
So that means that maybe you don't need a square.
Yeah.
Maybe you are secure.
Maybe like, I'm a square.
Maybe you are square. No, maybe you don't need one. I have lots of triangles actually showing up, and I'm not curving the edges because I feel like it is an intersection of a line, but I'm not curving it.
That's interesting. So you do have triangles on yours.
I do. I have a few. All right, I'm gonna just, okay, so now that we've added circles to the open spaces where the curves are already, you want to look at any empty space and you want to make it harmonious. So any empty spaces, like I have this really big one up here in the right hand, I am going to make a couple of circles. Or what you can do is if you still have empty space, you can then again, you can go from any of the connection points and you can create a new line through it. And then just curve out that edge, because you don't, again, because this represents the outside environment, you don't want to have a lot of big spaces, because everything on the outside environment is supporting you in the solution to your quest. Everything on the inside is what's happening on the inside. So if you do have a big circle like I do, that's what's happening on the inside of you. And everything on the environment is out here is to support you. So you want to create as many supports essentially as possible. Or solutions, I should say, not just supports, solutions as well.
So then, Adele, could one suggest or infer that an art piece that remains open, if you will, along the edges, I guess maybe I'm just questioning if I've never mindfully, intentionally sought closure in many aspects of life and never put those definitive closing lines in and things. And so the concept that you're introducing of like just the real sense of intentionality, and I'm looking at what I'm doing and I'm going, oh.
But maybe that's your flow keeping you open to doing more art.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because I don't always finish all my stuff either.
No, I don't either.
But I mean, not finish as in, oh, the piece is finished. I mean, physically within, see how like Adele's work, like she's rounding and like closing and then intentionally talking about, and I'm just like, or the external, and I'm like, oh, my external environment is usually these wide open lines of like, and I'm thinking, oh, am I just resisting the outside world?
No, maybe you're more open to it.
Or maybe I'm more open.
Yeah, because these are supports, right?
These are supports.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're more open
to.
So one of the closing steps may help you with that a little bit too. I'm not gonna divulge until we get there.
Oh, so juicy, such good stuff.
Okay, so I'm at the point where I think I'm happy, and you may, so basically where we're gonna go next is actually coloring it in. And so Heather probably has a different strategy, but here's what the algorithm has for this. So in one of our previous lives, we used this. I'm going to just bring my screen up so I hopefully everyone can see this. It's not going to be a very good version. I am going to put this in the comments if you would like to have a link to it. This is a color wheel of emotions. And so each one of these areas represents, or sorry, the area and the color represents a different color. So emotion. Sorry, I'm really terrible at explaining this. Okay, let me look at it. I might do better. Each of the colors represents an emotion. And so the stronger you feel the emotion, the stronger the color is, or the less you feel the emotion, or depending upon what you feel. So for example, joyful is in yellow. But if you were feeling joyful is really powerful, bright yellow. But if you were feeling excited, sensuous, energetic, cheerful, creative, hopeful, it would be just a little bit lighter than that really strong, powerful, joyful feeling. And if you were feeling daring, fascinated, stimulated, amused, playful, optimistic, it's just that much lighter. So basically you look at this color wheel and you say, this is the emotion I'm feeling about my quest. And you're going to pick a color, and then you're going to choose an area of your drawing to color. But here's the rule, quote unquote rule, is that when you're choosing colors, you want to, again, do it intuitively. You don't want to pick a color, like pick a color that you're drawn to immediately without any thought. And then you're going to take the color and you're going to choose somewhere. So I have the big circle, I have a few smaller circles, and you're going to choose 5 shapes and you're going to color all of those 5 shapes that one color. And what you may find is If you start, you can either start with big circles or you can start with small circles, but make sure that you use the same color and shade 5 shapes. You may end up shading, you know, this whole area here, but I'll give you an example. I'm going to use pink. Well, pink on my emotional chart is sad, but I'm going with pink because that's how I felt. And it's not because I'm sad. And I'm going to shade in 5 shapes. So I'm starting with my bigger inner circle. And I want the bigger inner circle to have, maybe I am sad, to have pink. So this is going to be, the other thing is you can use markers for this. You can use watercolor. You can use acrylics to fill this in. You can use, you know, lots of different options of coloring this in, whatever you have laying around, or if you're a professional artist or if you're a creative. I was even thinking it would be cool to cut material into shapes and like fill the shapes in with material.
For sure, that'd be fun.
So I did 5 shapes here, and I feel like I need to go this way into this inner circle. So my big circle has like a couple inner circles, which I find is really interesting.
So 5 shapes, any shapes?
Any shapes, they just have to be connected. I should have said that before everyone started, hopefully. They all have to be connected. And then you intuitively think about when you're done with that color, or follow, you know, whatever line you feel like it needs to follow with that color as you color it in. And if you feel like your drawing isn't finished, like you would like to add more lines, or you would like to add more circles, certainly just keep doing that. You don't have to be coloring at this point. I just wanted to show the coloring and how it's done. The other thing you can do is, I have a colored pencil, is start off really strong. And this is variations of how you can color it, you know, have a really strong outside, and then like really go into the center really lightly of the inside of the shape, just depending. So this is, the coloring is part of the beautifying the solution and making this, you know, this is your creative part of the exercise, where you just get to creatively express whatever comes up. So if it's emotions within the quest that you're looking to solve, and as you color, you want to think about what some of the solutions could be, or what are some of the actions that you could take towards the solution of this quest. Something may come up, something may not come up.
So after I do my 5 in one color, do I do another color?
Yeah, do another color. And like I mentioned, if so I started in this big circle, okay, and I kind of branched out here. But I felt like I needed to just follow your intuition, but just try to do big blocks of color.
All right, go back in.
And this is where you might have, you know, some images show up in your mind while you're coloring. I guess not while I babble, but you might have some things show up for you, again, for the solution of the quest. And if you find anywhere where you haven't smoothed a line, you can smooth it out quickly. Just grab your pen, smooth it out. We don't want any sharp edges. I was going to use acrylic, but I knew it would just be too messy.
I went Sharpie. I went Sharpie and marker.
Amazing. And are those your normal tools?
Yeah. The paint marker, the Sharpies. I have a friend who's really adept at pen use.
Wow.
Pencils and stuff, but I like the markers because they gave me the solid, bold vibrancy that I saw, and Sharpie was pretty solid.
Yeah, Sharpie is solid. That's what I'm using too. But you have a whole, can you please share with everyone, if everyone wants to take a moment to look up from their drawing and just look at the amazing collection that Heather has of craft, of pens and markers.
Well, I brought
your tub.
I know of tonight's guests. I know, well, 3 of us, and I know that I'm not alone in what I'm about to show. So this is one bucket, right? There's the
Amazing.
bucket.
Yeah.
And these guys, really, that's only my acrylic. Those are only one type. Oh, you know how hard it was to decide?
Yeah, for sure. Probably would have been when you're used to having your whole entire studio.
Yeah, right. Well, Rhiannon's not in her studio as well, so she's got her limited tools as well.
Stuff in my bag this morning.
Sometimes I like that though, because then
I'm using purple for the first time in forever.
Oh, how does it feel? Is it weird?
It's kind of cool. I miss it. It makes me want grape Kool-Aid.
That's amazing.
Do you have wait, don't you have a smelly marker?
I've used, well, yeah. I mean, this one's watermelon. Yeah.
But you don't have the purple, the grape.
Not on me.
Okay.
So one of the things too that you'll find your mind does, that I found my mind was doing when I first did my neurographic art before I found this algorithm, was I was looking for like shapes of hearts and stuff like that. And I know in this particular algorithm, they just want you to focus on the circles and smoothing out the lines. But I had in Heather's work, you saw that she had a flower that she drew. And so, I mean, rules are meant to be broken. And I think it'll eventually all have its place in neurographic art, especially as Heather, with an emerging artist, she's going to share the world her incredible talent of neurographic art and say, yeah, actually, before this Pavlov guy in 2014, he's just putting concrete what I knew for
for all my life,
for your whole life. Yeah. So as you get your piece colored and it's showing itself to you, I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. If you are willing to share, we would love to have a look at what you've drawn and maybe tell you a little bit about what we see in art, like we did before we started coloring. So I'm going to give you guys a few more minutes. And as we, you know what, it's funny because I was looking at my clock and my watch says 3:30 and it's not even 3. I was like, oh, we have lots of time.
5:32.
So as you guys kind of color, I would like to Heather, for you to kind of, I had chosen 4 pieces of art that I would love for you to talk to us about how you got there, your process, and how this art form has really influenced your life and your creativity, because obviously you've been doing it for a really long time, so it has significantly influenced your life.
Thank you. It just feels so nice. Just feels lovely. Piece right here is okay. So I'm turning. I've turned 44, and ever from 40 and on, I've become more connected with gardening and food source and what brings joy. Simple activities of what brings joy. And so, of course, it's the garden for so many people. And you see the excitement in the stores of like, right now, I'm sure I don't know, I was just in Canadian Tire and I could feel it. Like the people are like circling around the seeds. And so this piece came from a spring sense of joy.
Amazing.
And where I started, I can tell you exactly where I started. Because I'm also practicing consistency with line work, mandalas, and all of these things. I started at the orange marigold, almost dead, not dead center, but kind of, there's an orange marigold there. And then I started thinking about marigolds and other similar shapes and things that bring me joy along the parkway. In particular, at the top, there's a cedar tree, and those trees are so unique, and it's pointing up at the top because I'm saving money because I'm driving my ass to California to go to see President Sherman, one of the oldest surviving California redwoods it's the biggest tree in the world.
Wow.
And I must get to there.
Yeah.
And that tree is there. So that's that piece.
That's a beautiful concept. Wow, there's a lot in there, but I love it. It's vibrant. It does speak of spring, and that's probably one of the reasons why I was drawn to it so much. And I'm glad you showed it first, Rhiannon, because I was just like, oh my gosh, like I love the feeling of this painting. It just feels so, like you said, joyous. I can feel the joy in it.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Do you want to show the next one?
Yeah, and then we're gonna have the penis one. That's what I see. I don't know if anybody else sees it.
Okay,
there.
so I did totally see penises, and I wasn't sure if we could go there, but of course I saw the cactus first, and it reminded me, like, some of the colors you used was like very desert-ish and very boho. Right now it's very trendy, but I definitely see some, like, a vibrator or it's a penis. I'm not sure.
It's whatever you want it to be.
That's right.
That's the beauty.
That's right.
This piece exactly was sparked by the trend of simple lines and boho. You nailed it. All of the gold detailing, the soft pink framings, the Nevada desert, the California dreaming. And I was thinking of wall coverings. I did attend a workshop a moon ago where I started a Redbubble store and merchandising, and I was playing with filters and things. And so this just came out of that, playing off of a trend. But I can't keep things simple. So yeah, some lines, extra lines had to go in there, some doors opening to other places, some window boxes, some growing. So again, I really think I'm still working through manifesting myself to California.
For sure.
Now that
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the selections.
The teacher that talked about the algorithm or taught the algorithm that I shared with you guys, she uses it for manifestation. Like one of hers was, her and her daughter were going on a trip, and so she did exactly what she wanted her trip to be in as the quest, and then drew, and then she's like, I can't tell you how many things came true because I did this drawing. I was like, that's amazing. So there you go. You're manifesting your California without even realizing it.
We'll get there.
I will get right. We'll all get to where we want to be.
That's right. So this one I found really fascinating because I can see the underlying work in the flower that's on the left-hand side, but then also like all of the little things that you have in there. It's a beautiful little map to a world that I want to be in. There's fish, there's a little down in the left-hand corner, there's it looks like ships that are sailing. There's fish, there's flowers, there's butterflies, there's a caterpillar. Can you walk us through what this represents for you?
These in the middle are awesome.
This would be more typical of the type of work that I do. This is the type of work that gives the people the headaches. But this is the best example of the inner workings of my mind, or the pace at which my brain works. On the far left-hand side, you'll also see the coronavirus. This piece, so the little neuron.
I see it, yeah.
So that still would be an empty space. It's got no solution. It's got no closure there.
Yeah.
The pandemic is still here. So, so large concepts illustrated in this piece here. At the bottom, you're going to see fish. You're going to see a government-issued research vessel with certain numbers on it as we call to attention our deadening coral reefs, sulfur and dead lakes, sustainable fishing, salmon, all of these things. So that's also incorporated into the lower half.
Yeah.
I do identify as an empath. And so during COVID, isolation saved me because I didn't have to feel the collective angst of every human around me. And I know of many other of my friends who also benefited from being granted permission to hide or to stay away. And this piece allowed me to fully get out all of the things that I cannot control. I cannot control big agriculture. I can't control what food is on the shelf in the grocery store. I don't know how to solve coronavirus. I don't know. And in the middle of the piece too, as I'm looking, is Mother Earth creation theory. I do subscribe to a lot of Indigenous. You can see her 4 legs look like tree stumps and her little eye there, just kind of floating.
Yeah.
I tend to think as women, I identify as a cis female, and I tend to believe that the weight of creation, so creation theory, COVID, isolation, sustainable food sources, those are the things that I think about, and that's where that piece came from.
That's a lot, but I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. That's a lot of quests in one. But it all flows beautifully. Like it's a stunning piece, Heather. I love this one.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Striking.
It is.
I'm better at understanding color theory. I watch my technical friends from a distance and I learn off of them.
Smart.
It's been helpful.
Yeah, that's how a lot of artists learning techniques from other artists. It's great. So this one specifically I chose because in talking about quests, like I said, this is just an algorithm that we taught today. And so like any rules of anything, they're meant to be broken. But I liked this one the most because I all around it reads, once the ship has sailed, now what? And I wanted to know if when you were creating that, were you trying to answer that question, or was that the question of the piece?
So I didn't expect to feel what this piece stopped me. Trigger warning. Suicide. This piece stopped me from going over the Niagara River.
Whoa.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that.
When
Wow,
the ship
Heather.
has sailed, when you have exhausted all options that have been presented to you, when you do not necessarily have advocacy or people coming to you, when every ship tool you've utilized still doesn't stop anything, well, now what? I often dream of escape, exemplified by boats, water, birds. In this piece, I'm attempting to find a reason to stay.
Wow.
And I know I am not alone in experiencing that.
This is such a powerful piece.
Very powerful.
But you wouldn't know that necessarily by looking at it, eh?
No.
Like nobody might come away and they would just see this doodle of a red thing with maybe a boat on her head or something. But like really, when your ship has sailed and you watch what you thought you knew disappear, or the goals you set, but also out of the mouth, there's breath there. It's swirling. There's life.
The breath is supporting.
The breath is around. Yeah. Okay. So there's my support that I built in,
coming from
that I learned.
Coming intrinsically.
Yeah. So when I looked at this piece, and thank you so much for sharing, and I'm sorry that I should have made sure I checked with you, but
I welcome this.
This is it's funny because one of the things that I wrote down about the question that I asked is, I knew it was tied to an event in your life, and I was like, I need to ask her that. So it's kind of interesting that that's where this came from. And the thing that I saw in your art was that the face was the ocean carrying the sail, that it's the sail, you know, when we go in a boat, we're actually carried by the ocean. So that the face was the support of the sailor, essentially.
That's funny, because what I saw before you told your story, and thank you again for sharing that, because that's very brave that you're sharing that. I saw like a rock, that there's a rock up north, sort of like outside of Marathon, called Old Woman's Bay, and the rock kind of looks like an old woman's face. And then there's another one I saw, Manitoulin, that looks like a chief's face. So immediately I was looking at the black, on the bottom was the water, it was a night sky, and this is a rock, and the ship is stuck on top of the head of the rock.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Wow.
Yeah, so I was seeing it opposite.
I cannot tell you selfishly, I've never really had a lot of feedback on my work. So this is a first experience that I'm having in real time. So for those of you who, I'm just very grateful that this is a topic of discussion. I'm sure that some of you are sitting with illustrations on your laps right now and thinking, just
This is terrible.
All of us. But you know what? I want to bring us back to this one too, because it's spring, and
start.
like I just want, when I look at this, I see so much hope. It's the contrast in your work.
Yeah.
Hope springs eternal, and I feel that's the saving grace for us all.
It just goes on. Like
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't end.
Yeah.
Taking you down
Little
to the garden.
side note, see the Mother Mary on the left, the statue? That was gifted to me by the demolition team who tore down Mount Carmel.
Oh, sweet.
That
wow.
that statue literally has been blessing people, millions of people since like the 1800s.
And all the nuns.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Father Francis reached out to me on Facebook and said, I see that you've been gifted this. And I said, am I supposed to bring it back to the church? And he said, no, she's clearly meant, this is a Catholic priest saying, no, it's clearly supposed to be with you. Should your time come to an end, please consider returning her.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
You know what? I'm usually repelled by anything Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw it in your picture, I was like, that's kind of cool.
Because it's not Catholicism represented to me. It's Mama cares.
Yeah, mother. That's what I was going to say.
Goddess,
Mother.
I'm okay. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet that you got that.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
So all the people are drawing.
Yeah.
And
okay.
and just before we move on to that, I just wanted to say that you have a show upcoming, and that would be an opportunity for people to share what they feel about your art. So prepare yourself for that. But we'd love to hear more about that before everyone, if they would like to, share where their artwork has come to this point. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about your upcoming show, Heather.
Thank you so much. So Lisa B, Kathleen SJ, I think I got, is that everybody's names? Okay, so guys, guess what? Very good. I'm surrendering to the divine sexual being that I am, and I'm putting together in my mind a kink inclusive erotic art show. And I'm going to have performers engaging with guests. I'm highlighting 10 illustrations of kink inclusivity, some BDSM, some all of the things. Why I'm doing it is because my art has been rejected from the posh. My is not the problem, it's the venue, and there is a space for the freaks, and so I better just make that. The show is called Suspended Logic. I want people to have an ongoing sensory release experience. Wow. People will be walking in to a venue and they will be bombarded with sensuous papaya.
Amazing.
And mango and sparkling beverages and cannabis and original.
When does it
fruits.
happen?
So the date has not been finalized. It's to be announced as we're restrictions in outdoor space. And so basically I'm just throwing a gigantic nighttime erotic art party. And I'll let you all in. It's called Suspended Logic. And it's coming probably, I'm hoping for May 24 weekend.
So I am going to just put, if any of you aren't already connected, which most of you probably are with Heather, just make sure that you connect with her. I've got her her website and her Facebook group, Heather Art Fraser.
You want to wear a mask and be completely a different human being for an evening, and you don't want to be you. Maybe you want to wear a mask and angel wings and those stiletto boots.
Love it.
Maybe.
Sounds like a taboo show.
Yeah, all the things.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. So we'll be looking forward to hearing the dates for that. I have to make sure my calendar is clear.
Thanks, Adele.
So with that, is there anyone that would like to share where their art is at this point and maybe have us give a idea of what it is or what we see in it? And then I would also like to, in saying that, I would also like you, if you are willing, to share what your quest was and if there were any solutions that came up in your drawing as you colored and finished. Lisa, go ahead.
I can share, yeah. So
thank you.
So this is where I got to. And I don't really know where it will go next. My quest was that I've been feeling blocked creatively, and like it's been it's hard for me because it's one of my main ways that I cope with life and everything. What I'm starting to see is potential, because there's so many circles that are like open. I don't know, I could see myself putting eyeballs in there.
I did do eyeballs in one of mine as well. So I think, yeah, even though they're like, oh, don't look for patterns, I'm like, there's patterns here.
Yeah, like I could see that. And I think I'm going to do some more with my pen before I add more color.
Awesome.
But yeah,
Lisa, I'm definitely seeing some fish, possibly.
Oh yeah.
Shapes.
Yeah.
Right away, I thought of an island, and that's a tree, and you've got some things flying around in the air.
Before, when you had it too, like this upside down.
I had it like this.
When you had it upside down, yeah, I see the word yes, kind of. Yeah, like a very loopy yes, but I see the word yes.
Maybe all your
on this. Possibly.
I mean, really, it could go. It can. You probably see things at.
Yeah, like, you probably can
differently, all the ways. But
maybe all the open space was all space because you are, as a creative, you're just, So maybe all those open spaces are solutions coming in for your creativity to flow.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because there are quite a bit of like open spaces, and I didn't want to like I didn't want to fill them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
I'll continue working on it for sure.
That's very. Anyone else? I'll share mine. I mean, it's not even colored or anything because I was talking too much, but maybe I'll pick it up and share it because I think it would be cool to see it from a different. You get it still rips the paper.
Oh,
that's okay.
That'll create a cool effect though, I bet.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna do this.
Ooh, lots in that. I'm still seeing ripples.
Are you?
I'm seeing uteruses, very feminine, very women, very fleshy.
Yeah, I can see flesh.
Yeah, and this was my inner world. and this is the outer world around it. So it was really interesting to see that there's an inner world inside of my inner world.
Ooh, a new gift.
Yeah.
What was your quest?
Do you know what? I can't remember. Because I was trying to focus on like trying not to like direct everyone to do it, but also just do it myself without putting too much pressure. And I was just like, ugh.
I think your quest was to lead a class.
That was my first quest, and the first one I did earlier today.
Oh,
today,
okay.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. Maybe it'll come to me when I'm trying to figure out the solution.
The lighter and darker
the pink, yeah, right at
feels
there.
So womanly, like all the colors.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I want to rest my head in like a nice, safe.
Oh, I do see that.
Boobs in there too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Like boobs and a pregnant belly.
Yeah, I
saw
that's
the pregnant
belly.
Yeah.
I saw.
Because we're all women in here, aren't we? So maybe I was just like drawing the energy of the group. Who knows? Okay.
Well, are you trying to tell us that you're having a baby?
Oh, fuck no. No.
Isn't it gender reveal? Got it.
Yeah, no. And if it's the case, OMG.
Immaculate conception.
Sorry for the profanity.
That's all right. We'll check the box.
What about yours, Rhiannon? We have 2
Mine's
more
like-
minutes.
It's wild.
Lots of color.
Ooh. Oh yeah, that does have lots of color. I feel like it's all very at the top too. Like there's, although I can't really see your lines at the bottom, so maybe I just can't see.
Like it's funny because there's like symmetry that came out of it.
Yeah.
In the corners, but then everything was sort of centered in one spot.
Yeah. So you have a lot of environment around you that's
I
open.
think so. I mean, I've been here all day.
Yeah.
And there's so many people. Now that I'm
Oh.
looking at it on screen though, it kind of looks like grapes maybe.
Very neat. I love how everyone's different. Heather's, let's see yours. We have 1.5 minutes.
See now right there. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is like the carrier of the load.
Oh yeah. It looks like a bird.
I'm so just powerhouse coming in. Oh
no, that's all right.
So cool. When you I love these, you gotta turn them. These ones.
Yeah.
That looks like a human heart.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
I have finer appreciation seeing it on screen.
Yeah, I think you do. Even with your own art, you do. You have a better appreciation of when you see it.
Well, I'm going to keep this for a long time.
Okay, so if no one else wants to share, that's it for us. So I did put the link in the chat box for the emotional wheel if you want to use that for choosing your colors. That's a whole nother aspect of neurographic art as well. So like I said, there's lots of new, I mean, you can go on YouTube and there's hundreds of videos, but some of them are really crappy. If you get linked in with, I'll try to find a lady whose instructional video I followed today for the information that I gave to you guys so that you can, because she has some really, really interesting neurographic art YouTube channels that you can follow. So in saying that, thank you all so very much for joining us. Thank you, Heather, for being here. I have absolutely loved learning about your art and how your process differs and how you had no idea that you were even doing neurographic art for the last 20 some odd years. So that's really interesting.
Thank you, Adele and Rhiannon. You continue to expand within our community, meaningful art-related, community-related wellness programming. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have you, and thank you for saying yes.
Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah, so Rhiannon and we do have an in-person event coming up on May 8th. So if you're interested in that, DM us. Mother's Day, yeah. So you can come along and bring a friend, your mom, your sister-in-law, or no one. You can come, by yourself as well. But we're doing a mini retreat. That's on May 8th in St. Catharines. And then we also have our full 4-day, 4-day, 3 nights, full elements of art and nature retreat that we also have coming up. So if you're interested in any of that, please give us, send us a message. And thank you all for your participation. And I hope that you got some value from this session today.
We did, Adele.
Thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Colleen. Bye, Sylvia. Bye, Lee. Bye, SJ. Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye.